All right, what's going on? Sorry about that delay. I was running behind, but we are here. I've been waiting for this moment. Coming on with my guy Andy. We really haven't done a show since basically the intro video. Just busy with other stuff. Andy's been crushing it. Comes right in, picks Wyndham to win it. I think first or second week of the season. Been crushing it. I've been super excited to hop on these shows now that it calms down, especially Wednesday night, because I love his article. I love what he's doing in Discord. I love what he brings to Run Pure. I know I love golf, and we kind of have different strategies with how we attack it, which is fine, which I actually like, and which I think is going to be good for these shows because we can give different perspectives, and sometimes we might agree on stuff. Sometimes we might disagree on stuff. Ghost Jam doesn't like the free shows. They're not going to be free every week, Ghost Jam. PGA, it's the players this week. Every once in a while, it's going to be free just to give people a little taste, especially the first time with me and Andy. 3 years ago, we shipped a Millie at Run Pure, one of the funnest weekends, and hopefully we can run it back. But I'm going to bring Andy in. I've been super pumped about this. I love this tournament, so I'm happy this is the first week we're doing the premium, even though it's free tonight. We'll answer questions, go through the field. What's up, my man? Sorry about the delay on my end.
No, you're good, buddy. It's great to be here. I've been chomping at the bit, man. Every single week I ask Wiley, I'm like, when's Big T going to join us on one of these shows, man? You've been missed in the golf streets. We know you've been grinding NBA a ton, but I think this is the perfect tournament to bring you back. So before we kind of set the stage, like walk us through, like, do you have any tips or like things you picked up from winning that Millie? Was this the Cam Smith year or was it the
JT and Bryson year?
Okay, it was the JT and Bryson year. So it wasn't actually the year when we had that super weird wave advantage. So
that
okay,
was
so
the year after, I think, when it was this because I had the wrong wave advantage that year.
I got murdered that week.
I did too. I think I went from the Millie to like getting literally zero back on every entry the next year. So but I think this process is a little different for Sawgrass. I think that most people, I like to target par fives. And I said it that year too. I mean, the people that watch the show, the Run Pure people that have been from the beginning kind of know how I target that, especially at this course, 4 par fives. Even that year, Bryson, I think what 15's the par. Is it 15 or 16 that's the par 5? 16, right?
Yeah.
Right before the 3, or where you get those finishing holes where you got a scoreable par 5, and then obviously the par 3 that everyone talks about with water everywhere, and then 18 where you got water down the whole left side and bailout trees on the right. So I think it's a scoring course, but as everyone said, I'm sure everyone's watched a ton of content before now. It's a lot of variance out here, a lot of variance. There's a lot of water. A lot of good players have crumbled in this place, and there's not a lot of consistency in what course history. You see really good players struggle. You see bad players do good. The one thing I like to target, though, par 5 scoring, ball strikers. Like ball strikers, I know we target that everywhere, but here I think and we saw JT, I think, on the opposite end of the draw that you were talking about. Very creative, the Tiger like being creative with the ball. I know you're going to be on JT this week too, but I love him around here, not just because he won me a Millie, because he fits this course to me with how he shapes up and plays the game.
So you had JT, Connors, and Harmon in that lineup.
The key was Connors and Harmon, I think, were both in the 6Ks too. I know Harmon was. Connors might have been low 7s, but they were both super cheap.
Right. I was going to say, I think at least 3 of those guys we'll get to as well. But I agree with you on the course. I mean, the thing that I would say about Sawgrass that I think might be a little bit unique to this year, all the people that I've spoken to that are there are like, this golf course is really soft. Florida's gotten a lot of rain. That area's gotten a lot of rain. Recently, they like Sawgrass to play really green because this is like one of the biggest television events for NBC all year. So they like when the golf course presents really well. They keep it really green. It's a really controllable golf course. They got the sub air and everything. So I would expect, I don't know if this changes your opinion on the type of guys that you're looking for this week, but just a cautionary out there to everyone, because we always touch on a little bit of weather. before we get into the slate. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we see some pretty low scores on Thursday morning. And overall, I think we'll get a little bit more wind as the tournament progresses and the course will be allowed to bake out a little bit more. But I'm still thinking this is closer, in my opinion, to like a 15, 16 under players than some of the 9, 10, 11s that we've gotten in the past. Like, even they just put out the pin positions, and the pin on 17 is like right up in the front. That's like the easiest pin. The hard one is the pin in the back when it's super firm. So you're going to see guys be able to just aim at the center of the green with a wedge, and the ball will come shooting right back towards the pin. So is there anything course related or weather related you want to add before we talk about the top?
Yeah, I mean, that's why this is my favorite tournament too, because I played here a few times, shot in the 70s both times. I feel like I know the course. I haven't played obviously a lot of tour courses, but this one I feel like I know as good as any. And like you said, I agree with you. I think it goes a little lower too. And I did want to bring it up just because I am kind of a narrative guy. And it's strong. We've seen it all week where early late has won like what 23 of 26 or something here. And I know that probably doesn't mean anything, and maybe it's just totally random. It could be. But I always do just now, if I had to choose, which some weeks you don't have to choose, I always think there's something to be said. Like you just said it. Someone's going to go out early on Thursday with no wind and shoot 8 or 9 under right out of the gate. And that just sets you up so nice. So if you post some scores early in the day on Thursday, I think it's an advantage. But it gets even more interesting, though, because a lot of the top plays that we both like are opposite of that. They're in the afternoon early, which to me looks like the slightly worst weather. You can correct me if I'm wrong because you're probably more piped in with that. But the slightly worst weather, and again, it bucks that trend. Do you think that trend means anything, or is it just total noise?
I've gone back and forth on this. I've gotten this question a couple times. I think usually the better players, because it's really NBC wants the best players in the TV window on Friday afternoon. So a lot of the times you're going to get the better players on Friday afternoon. Now, that's not necessarily the case this year. Like Scheffler's late Thursday. I want to say that Rory's late Thursday too. I know
Rory's early. I got them all up. So
Rory's early, but Scheffler, Scheffler's still not as
JT's late too, and I know we both like JT. So
yeah,
they're both bucking that trend.
Yeah, JT's late Thursday, right?
Late Thursday. Yep, late early.
Yeah, I mean,
Zalatoris and Wyndham, and I mean, a lot of those guys up top are late early guys.
And a lot of the guys, like I already did the starring of my whole player pool for the app because I'm out here on the West Coast, so everything's going to get going before I wake up. And a lot of the cheaper guys that I like are early late, which, looking at the weather just in a vacuum, taking out that trend, it looks like the toughest time to be on the course is Friday afternoon, right? Yep. Because that's when the course generally bakes out, especially with the cheaper guys. You don't want cheaper guys battling on the cut line. It doesn't matter. Wave stuff doesn't matter as much at the top. It matters a lot more with the bottom guys. So I'm a little worried that it just so happens that a lot of the cheaper guys I like are AM, PM. But generally, like, the weather that I'm seeing is not enough for me to get off or on a guy because of their tee time. Like, I'm not stacking this week. And I am a guy who stacks. Like, I pay close attention to the weather. I stack all the time in either directions. I think there's an argument for that this week. I'm just not, I don't see it as I don't have a strong enough conviction for that to happen. The reason I would do it is if there was lightning in the forecast and you get the potential for delays, then you get what happened 2 years ago where there's a situation where one wave could potentially get super fucked. But I'm playing my guys this week, man. Like, I think maybe there's a chance that PM AM gets a little bit of an advantage if Friday afternoon's the toughest time to be on the course, but I think it's pretty negligible, to be honest with you.
I like where we're at because we're in a lot of agreements early on. And I kind of had a feeling that even though we think we play different strategies, I think we agree on more things than people will think. We got a curveball last week with the Minwoo thing that it was what it was. You were either on one side or the other. It didn't matter.
I wasn't even like passionate about that one.
No.
Though I think the way that it shook out was like kind of perfect because I was worried. I talked about this on my Sunday podcast where it was like, it was going to be the players 2022 situation with the weather, which because that thing happened in one tournament at the players in 2022, now for the next 5 years, you would hear people saying like, you can never predict the weather, like always stack in the opposite wave. And I was worried that if Minwoo either crushed or finished dead last for the next 5 years, it was going to be like, okay, here's proof that there's no free squares in golf, or here's proof that anytime somebody's underpriced, you have to play him. And it turned out a situation where it's like, there's plenty of pivots that outperformed him. And there are plenty of pivots that he beat. If you pick the right pivots, which I didn't, then you won a lot of money. And if you played Minwoo, you were fine.
I didn't hit the right ones.
Yeah.
I agree with you though. Like I didn't think it was a win or an L either way. Like he was neutral. If you played him, he didn't kill you. He didn't win it for you, but he didn't kill you. I thought it was neutral. It's boring. It's boring. No one gets to really victory lap hard, but it was what it was. So I locked Scottie last week too, and I think that's a good starting place for us just because 5 or 6 to 1 to win the tournament. Rory's the second best, and he's not in good form at all right now, at least from what I've seen, even his speech. So, I mean, what do we do with Scottie when it's like this? Coming off the win, no one has ever won here 2 times in a row, which he won last year, obviously. What are we doing with Scottie?
I'm in. I'm playing him. And I think the conversation has to be placed in context with contest selection, right? So like one of the things I was pretty surprised about to see, I just did another ownership run through right before we went hot just to have the latest numbers. I'm talking about here, like I know high stakes, whatever is a different conversation. I'm talking about here, like the big $5 or the milli. I have Scottie at 32% on Wednesday evening. Now it's always possible people watch the show, people watch other shows. He gets some late steam. A lot of guys build lineups at like 3 a.m. Right. But as of Wednesday evening, I have Scottie at 32%. So like, even if you're somebody like me who, you know, I'm probably more on the end of like it is highly in the range of outcomes. There's a lot of times this tournament gets played where Scottie doesn't win. Right. You know, even if you have some speculation on Scottie, even if you have a little bit of doubt, like at 30%, man, like to give context, he's in 55% of my lineups. Like that's a number I feel really good about, like in a 20 max, in the $10 18 max. Like you don't have to go crazy with the guy. You can still get at a point where you're like 50% in on Scottie with some significant leverage to the field. Like, do you feel pretty decent about that 32% ownership number, or you think that gets some serious steam in the next couple hours?
I think you're like dead on. I think he'll obviously be higher in high stakes. Like in the higher stakes, I think he could be 50 something in the high stakes single. I think you're dead on. I think low 30s for sure. And that's the ones we're talking about on this for the most part anyways. Like single entry and stuff, we can talk totally different strategies and different ways to attack it. But in the, like you said, the milli this week, the $5 that you can enter 150, great tournament, even the 20 max, the 18 max, all that stuff, I think you're all over it. 32%. I think I'm going to be a little contrarian because I locked him last week. I felt like I felt like he got more lucky with the putter than people realize. I mean, he was burying long putt after long putt. I kind of liked it. It's like shooting a basketball almost. This might be a terrible analogy, but if you haven't shot for a while, like it feels like you come in and you shoot good at the beginning. And then as time clicks on a little bit, maybe a little rust comes, maybe you lose a little confidence. I just think the variance at this course and his price tag last week, what was he? 11.3, 11.4?
Yeah, he was 11.3. Yeah.
And as we go down to the next range, I know we're going to talk about this range, but I mean, I can get JT for 2,200 cheaper. I can get, I mean, those guys in the 9Ks that I like for 3K cheaper. So I think a lot of people are going to play Scottie. And again, it goes down to 5K. There's playable 5K guys when we get down there. There's playable 6K guys I like. I never do this. So this is totally different from how I usually play. But I think I'm going to go with the build. I heard you guys talking on the other show Monday, I think, or one of your shows. I like the mid-tier build. And by mid-tier, I mean 9Ks and 8Ks and guys like that, where the Burns and the Morikawa and Homa and Spieth. And I'm more on the mid-tier build this week. And honestly, I don't know if I'll full fade Scottie, because that would be stupid. If he wins by 5 like last week, you just get dusted. If you could guarantee me his ownership, I never do this ever. If you could guarantee me like 30, which I think you're right, I might just play 30% Scottie and be with the field.
Yeah.
Don't let him beat me either way.
Yeah, I agree with that. The thing that's the reason why I'm not heavier on Scottie is 2 reasons. One, you mentioned they priced him high enough this week where you actually have to make a decision, which I'm glad that they did that, right? Even with the 5K range, and we'll get there. Like, I may not be as high on the 5K range as you are. I struggle down there.
I'm not going to be high on it either, though.
Yeah,
So we're kind of in there.
Yeah, the lowest guy I think I'm playing is like 6.3. Like, I went over that range and I couldn't get there. But when you have him priced this high, like, it is difficult to, I mean, I would say I tried to build some Scottie Xander lineups because I like Xander too. I didn't like what I was coming up with. Like, I think Scottie JT is doable. But what would be if you are building with Scottie, like, as your second man in, would you play a JT Scottie lineup, or are you going straight down to the 9s and possibly the 8s? Because, like, to be honest with you, some of my favorite Scottie lineups are like Scottie Connors or Scottie Connors Si Woo or like Scottie Finau Connors Harmon, So, like, I find myself going Scottie, and then because I struggle so much with the 5s, like, having to make a big jump before I get into like the 8s.
I mean, I'm loving what we're hearing, because we're going to have this first show and we're going to pick a lot of winners. Because I mean, I literally couldn't agree more. And people are going to think that I would love to argue and give the show some context and fight back and forth a little bit. But I literally couldn't agree more. If I play Scottie, I'm going to go opposite of my builds where I like these 9K guys and JT and the 10Ks and I play a few of those. So I love going down to like Connors, even Benny on. I mean, all those guys, Si Woo, Min Woo. Flop lag on Minwoo. I'm not scared at all to come back in on Minwoo this week. I mean, so Scottie all the way down there. So for example, let's say we plug Scottie in. Let's say we go down. We both like Connors. We plug Connors in. We plug Siwoo in. And just say we plug, let's just say Harmon, for example, 79. I mean, you're still 6,500.
You're like, that's like my single entry, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I love it. It could end up being mine too. Like, I'm on the same. And you still have 6,500. And that's with Scottie and 3 guys that could top 5 for you. All 4 of those guys have top 5 equity. And yeah, you're going to have to punt 1 or 2 spots, but you got 4 guys. And that's another thing I want at this course. I want guys, and we say this every week, but some weeks I do play guys that I don't think can win. At this course, I really do want 5 or 6 guys that I think could win the tournament, which leads me more to the mid-tier build, which I was just talking about.
So I think we're in agreement on Scottie, but for those, because I have, like I said, 45% of my lineups are non-Scottie lineups. If you're doing a non-Scottie build, what's your favorite start? Is it JT? Is it Zal? Like, talk me through that. I guess we could go like 9K up, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great spot to go. And it's pretty clear for me the guys I like too. So I'll just kind of go down and then you can talk about yours too. But there's no way I'm playing Rory with the way I think he's
our first disagreement.
You like him?
I do. I always like Rory.
And I'm a Rory guy too. I got the poster. I don't know if you can see it back there. I got the Rory PGA thing back. I love Rory. I just don't like his form at all. 11-6 is just heavy for me, but I get it. Xander, I'm not going to play him. JT is the first guy I know we both like. He won it a couple years ago. He's got good form. I like how he shapes it around this course. I really like him. Cantlay and Hovland has I know he top 10 the last 2 years. I just hate his form right now too. And honestly, this week, the thing I'm looking at the most, I want some recent form and like I said, ball striking, par 5 scoring, all that stuff. But so as far as 10K and up, really all I got is Scottie and JT. The 9Ks are where I start to like guys more. I mean, Zalatoris, I like. I'm a little nervous about him just because of how good he's played. And I think it was you that said it on another show too, where he's never done good like three things in a row, 3 events in a row. Well, that was you that said that, right?
Probably
I think
either
I
in the
was
show or
listening
in
to
the
you.
Discord. Yeah.
I think I remember you saying it, which I agreed with. I just don't love it. But the guy I like that I haven't played much is Hideki. Like, I love him at
Yeah.
ball striking courses where he's got 2 top 8s the last 3 times around here. He's in great form right now. I've even faded him the last couple times and I regretted it. I love Hideki this week. Spieth, I think Spieth's got a little bit of the JT in him where he can shape it around this place. The weird part is, so he finished 48th in the year I won the Millie. I don't know how he finished 48th. I got to look at his Sunday score because my best team going into that had Spieth and he was like in contention a little bit. So I don't know if I might have that wrong or something. I thought he finished better unless he just blew up on Sunday.
He's been a total mixed bag here. Like he's
Can
done
you
just
do you
about
have like the
everything.
scores? Can you see what he
Yeah,
scored on
I
Sunday
can
that year?
vamp a little bit more and I'll effort it.
Yeah, just see what he scored Sunday 3 years ago. But so the rest of this range, like I think Morikawa is going to come in single digit owned. He doesn't have great form right now, but again, a ball striker that I just think could pop at 9% owned, where I like that play. Burns is another guy I absolutely love in this range. Burns is like the Scottie light. I mean, they're like best friends. They love playing with each other. They're both really good ball striker type guys. But Burns obviously is what, 3,600 cheaper than Scottie. And like if I'm starting, if I don't play Scottie and I go down, I mean, I absolutely love starting my team with like a Hideki, Burns, Connors type build with those 3 or something where 3 guys could win. Blah blah blah. I love it. I mean, I think I love the 9Ks. I feel very good about the 9Ks.
By the way, yeah, he shot a Sunday 75. So he was
Yeah,
right there. I mean, he fell.
my best team, the team that won, because I think I finished with 4 in the top 10 in the Millie that year. My best team going to Sunday, though, had Spieth. So going into the day, I was rooting for Spieth harder than anyone. He must have just sucked from the beginning, 75. But how did he finish freaking 40? What did I say? 40?
Yeah, 48th. He dropped
How
like
the hell
20.
did he fall to
Yeah.
48th? Maybe he wasn't as high as I thought. Maybe I
He
needed him to make a move.
Yeah, he dropped like 25 spots on the leaderboard, but you hit on the guy. So I like Morikawa a lot this week. And I think like this is a golf course that in all my golf group chats, all the people I talk golf with, like we've been penciling Collin in for one and done at TPC Sawgrass for years. Like we've talked about how if I was building a golf course for Collin Morikawa, it would look a lot like TPC Sawgrass, right? What does Collin do best? He's an incredibly accurate driver of the golf ball. And he's a great overall approach player through the bag, right? Like one of the things about Sawgrass, it's got some of the most evenly distributed proximity buckets on tour. Like Collin is the type of guy where he's not like just an elite wedge player or an elite middle iron player, long iron player. Like Collin is one of the best overall approach players throughout the bag. That skill gets emphasized at Sawgrass more so than any other course on tour. Now, he was terrible last week. Like he shot an 80 in the second round at Bay Hill. I'm taking the chance based on what I saw because he was on the featured groups live on Friday morning. He quit on that round like on hole 7. And Bay Hill is a golf course that beats the shit out of guys. I actually think there are a couple guys that like got out of there early on Friday at Bay Hill, like Fleetwood, that completely quit on their rounds that are a lot more live than people think they are because that's just such a grueling golf course that none of the players like. To me, I'm not putting a ton of stock into what I saw out of Morikawa on Friday because I watched that round closely. He was 6 strokes outside of the cut line, like 3 holes into his Friday round. That week was done. Like his week was over. So to get Morikawa Morikawa's the type of guy that's like chalk at the players. Okay. Anybody that's running a model is saying to themselves, oh, Collin the players, right? So personally, I think like 9% is what I have Collin at right now. Like, I think that's a fucking gift, man.
And I'll just say, like, some of my biggest, I think I've had 400 or 500K hits. Almost all of them have started with these 9K guys where all of a sudden, if you start a team, just say, for example, instead of playing Scottie, you play Morikawa or any of these three, Hideki, Morikawa, any of the 9Ks, three of them. I mean, you legit have three guys that could finish 1, 2, 3. And that's a luxury that you just don't get by going up to Scottie. Don't get me wrong. Scottie is clearly the best guy in the field. When his putter goes, he's going to win. But we're playing freaking DFS. Getting Morikawa at 9% owned matters. And I'm not an ownership guy. I'm not. Everyone that's watched I don't care. But if I can get Morikawa at 9 and everybody else in this range is, I don't know, 13, 15, 17, Morikawa might come in lower than that too. I mean, he just never know. It's going to be single digits for sure with the guys that are below him. So,
and we got the tweet.
What do you think of Hideki?
We got the one more thing on Morikawa, then I'll talk Hideki. We got the tweet today where somebody took a picture of him arguing with his coach.
Oh, I know. I've seen that.
I love, like, inject that into my veins. Like, we are one Dan Rappaport. The irons aren't interacting with the turf well, or Hideki has a back injury before like a Kawa Hideki playoff. Like, great. Like, I think cool, dude. Like, some guy took a photo who couldn't hear their conversation about him having
no
a conversation
idea what
with his
they could have
coach.
been
like,
talking about
awesome.
where they're going to dinner that night. Like,
right. So I love that shit with Hideki.
You're gonna one more thing before you go to Hideki, because you're gonna know this. Do you remember the last time everyone hated Morikawa and said how bad he was playing in one of these big tournaments? Do you remember it?
Was it St. George's? Was it the Open?
The Open that he won. No one liked him. He missed the cut the week before at the Scottish, probably. Everyone hated him. He can't play over there. He's like Phil. He can't play. He can't do this. Just landslide victory, just like this week coming in, even more to that direction.
Look, I mean, it's a Players Championship. I will, there are going to be guys over 9K that we talk about that are going to be cooked on Thursday morning. Okay. That's just the nature of this event. If Collin sucks, like, I will be the first to admit that I'm wrong, but that type of stuff, that early, I mean, how many people did it happen to last week, myself included, where I subbed at the last minute? I subbed Tom Kim for Hideki because the back stuff with the underdog reporting the back stuff, I fucking fell for it, man. And it made a massive difference for me last week because I had some really good lineups where a T53 Tom Kim was not doing what a T12 Hideki would. So listen, man, I'm riding with Morikawa. I'm going down with the ship on that one. I just think it's a perfect course fit. And I think at 9%, like, you don't have, I'm not saying put Morikawa in 50, 60% of your lineups. The thing about Hideki too, I probably have to make a decision here. I don't think the way that I'm building, I'm going to have room for a Hideki and a Zalatoris and a Hovland. And I'm probably going to have to choose one of those three. I think I'm leaning towards Hideki right now, but like, it's pretty close for me between those guys. I have,
like, just say you play Hideki, Morikawa, and Burns. I mean, you still got 7,200 for your other three.
No, totally. I just mean, like, the way I do it is like, I pick my guys, I keep a tight pool, and then I go.
I like how you do that too. Even though we don't always agree on the guy, I love how you do that because that's how you win. That's how you get to the top. And when your core guys suck, you lose. That's fine. That's how I like to play. When you hit the guys you like, you should win a lot of money. When your guys you like miss, you should lose. That's fine. That's how I like to play it. I don't want to play every guy in the field because then you don't even know. You got to get lucky just to hit it. And that's why I think a lot of the top players, some of the best fantasy players in the world, suck at golf. And it's because they want to play everyone. They don't take stands. They just don't do it right. I'm convinced people don't know how to play fantasy golf. And that goes for people that are way better than me at overall DFS, way better. But I don't think they figured golf out. I think the way you do it is the correct way. Take stands, go with it. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But you got to go with what you believe.
Agree. Tight pool. I always preach. get leverage. Every single guy that you're playing, there's some exceptions to it, but I try and get 2x the field on every single guy I'm playing, even if I'm in like a 20 max, 18 max, like get as a condensed pool at the top, spread it out a little bit more at the bottom, but then you just know if you hit, like you have the potential to win it all. So I agree with you
Right.
there completely. Anyone else you want to talk about in the nines before we do eights?
No, I mean I really like the
I
nines.
don't have like any strong opinions on a lot of these guys are like no strong opinion, didn't make my pool. Like Ludwig, there's not been a strong track record of first timers figuring out this course on their first appearance. I love Ludwig. Like I think he's talented as hell. I'm super in on the guy long term. I want to say that it's like in the last 30 years, I think we've had 2 first time players winners. I just think this is too nuanced of a course for Ludwig to show up here on his first appearance and win. Cameron Young, I'm always a Cameron Young guy. Like I don't see myself getting there this week, even though you could take a shot on him. I see him in the like 8% zone, but a lot of these guys, I'm just kind of meh on before we get to the eights, which I love.
Yep. I mean, I'm there with you. I don't like Cam. I was on Cam Young last week. I don't love it here. I mean, and then just to go into the eights, just to lead you into there. I mean, Jason Day, I just don't feel it with him. Like he's 55 to 1. I know that's not everything. I just don't at 8,900. I mean, I'm going up to the guys like Burns, Morikawa, Spieth, all those guys in the 9Ks for not much more. I just can't do it. A sneaky guy that I like that's going to be unowned is Fleetwood. I know he let us
Yeah,
down
me
last
too.
week, but he's got four out of the last 5 years he's played good here. He's a ball striker. I know I keep going to that fairway Jesus, but I mean, this dude's going to be 5% owned. You're telling me I can play 10 or 15% Tommy Fleetwood? And like you said, again, which I totally agree with, 2 to 3 times the field on almost all plays, and I'm happy with that. That's why when you look at our chart over at Run Pure and you see the cheat sheet thing, and slam, I'll have more slams and more fades than any of the other people on the chart, which Wiley does it, JBC does it, Drew, AP. Everybody puts it, and Andy obviously has his in his article, which is similar to what we do here. On my column, you're going to see way more slams and way more fades than anybody else. And Fleetwood, to me, is one of the best plays of the whole week, especially with how bad he was last week. So I like that. Russell Henley's another guy I just have to like here. He just hits it so good, so solid, 40 to 1 to win it. I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership. I like him. Tony Finau, I'm just not a Finau guy right now. I'll be honest. I just don't love how he's playing. Sungjae, same thing. I know Sungjae's been good here. He's just shown me literally. He did find a tiny bit of form to end of last week, finished 18th. I just don't love it. Corey Connors is definitely going to be the guy we both like. At least I assume you do. I freaking love Connors. Another ball striker that treated me good here, that's got form. He's coming in decent, 18th last week. 24th, 28th, a couple events before that, 41st too, but he's got a couple good finishes here, and he's just a ball striker. I like him around this course. He scores good on par fives. I just like him. And then to finish out the 8Ks, I like Siwoo and Minwoo. Both of those guys are borderline core plays for me, both of them. I love the flop lag on Minwoo this week, coming after last week, where he goes up in price. But this is where he should be priced. He was priced wrong last week, not this week. He's priced properly this week.
Okay, a couple things. I completely agree with you on Fleetwood. JJJ just puts in the chat, 0 chance Fleetwood ends up 5. Man, I disagree. I just ran ownership. Maybe like he gets a little steam if a ton of people watch this show and we make a great case. But like, put it this way, I'd be shocked if he crosses 8 or 9. Okay. And
even
the
if
argument,
he did, that's what I was making fun in the chat. Like, even if
right.
he's
The
8 or
argument's
9,
the
he's
same.
still low.
Yeah.
And we're going to play 15, 20% of him.
Right. And so the thing with Fleetwood too, I talked about this a little bit with Morikawa, but it's like sometimes recency bias takes such a strong hold over people in golf where you see like there's certain guys like Sam Stevens will be 25% one week and 1% the next week. Right. And like Fleetwood, this is a guy that people have been talking about at this golf course for a really long time. Like Fleetwood's been amazing at the Players. He's got a 5th and a 7th here. He's been one of the most consistent TPC Sawgrass guys, which is a hard thing to say because it's a highly variable course. And because he loses 5 strokes on one hole, I mean, I played him last week, so I know the guy made a 10 and it was cooked. It was over, right? And that happens to a lot of guys. Like you look at Rory's ball striking numbers. It's like Rory lost 3 on approach. He lost 5.5 on approach on one hole. It's like just do a little bit of a deeper inspection on these guys at Bay Hill, which is kind of a wild course with a ton of water. And I think what your priors would have been on Fleetwood at this course, I think 5%, whatever, anything in the single digits is a fucking gift this week. So I'm pretty heavy on Fleetwood as well. Connors is probably like, not to spoil some of the article stuff, because I know this is free this week, but like Connors and Siwoo, I can't say enough good things about those guys. I hope they don't catch a little late steam because I've seen a couple other people like both of them as well. Like Siwoo and Connors have both caught crazy steam in the matchup market. I bet Connors on Sunday night at 80-1. He's down to like 50 in some spots. Siwoo got hit from 70 to 45, right? So like, I don't think I'm breaking any news here loving those guys, but I still think with how things are so spread out this week, dude, that like, even if Siwoo and Connors catch some steam, we're still looking in like the difference between 13 and 17% or 12.5 and 17%. Like, I think both those guys will be kept in check. And I think they are, I don't know if they're my favorite plays on the slate, but like Connors and Siwoo, I will be heavily in on those guys.
I mean, we're arm in arm, and the only one that disagrees with us is Petey Plays in the chat, who makes fun of all of our ownership.
What contest? Like what contest? Petey, I'll go toe to toe with ownership with you if you want. If you want to do my ownership on Wednesday night versus yours, and we can compare, like I'm happy to do that. But you know what? Listen, I will say this. There will be contests where I will not be remotely shocked if Connors hits 20%. Like I do think that he is a good late steam candidate. Same with Siwoo, but what happens when some of these guys like Connors and Siwoo catch late steam? That's going to give more opportunities on guys like Minwoo, who I have at like 7% right now, right? Like Finau, I think will be in the 10% zone. So you have options in this range.
I mean, you said it perfectly in Discord earlier, though. Like, the only way you need to worry about ownership this week is how you build your Scottie builds. If these other guys are all going to be spread out. I mean, no one is going to be too high owned. Even if Connors, if you told me he was 20% owned, I don't think he'll get to 20, but if you told me that, I would still like Connors at 20% because you know what? I'm going to play 40%. I can guarantee you I'm going to play 40% Connors. He's just a good play. So it's like you said, I'm going to be above the field. And that's one of the reasons I don't worry about ownership as much as most people. Because I just know my player pool for 150 is always like 30 guys, 25 to 30 guys, and I'm going to be above on every single person I play. So it doesn't matter what the field ownership is. And I'm going to get different in my single entry stuff where I can just change the way I'm building and go away from different ranges and stuff, which you're also good at. But we like the same guys in this range. I mean, I love these guys around 8K. All these, even when we go down into the 7s next, I like a lot of those guys in the high 7s. I love this range. There's just so many guys that can top 5 or win this tournament. Everybody we just said could top 5 and win this tournament.
So 7K, you want to split it into 2 or you want to go full 1? Because it's actually kind of smaller this week because
it might be the smallest I've ever seen for 7Ks. There's like 12 guys in there.
I know that because they've got it all the way down to 5K. But I mean, I'll start with Harman. Like I'm all in. It's no secret. This guy, another guy who I'm kicking myself. I know a bunch of guys holding Harman 150-1 tickets from Sunday night on FanDuel. He's like down to 50-1 now. Listen, do I think that Brian Harman is going to win the Open Championship and then follow it up with like the next biggest tournament of the year? He just rips off of players. Probably not. Do I think his floor is incredibly high? Do I think that he easily has top 3, winning upside? I don't think he's going to win, but I think that he has one of the highest win equities in this entire range. I mean, is there a guy in the 7s that you like to win this thing more than Brian Harman? Just to win.
Just to win, I don't even think there's anyone close. I'm looking at who. No, I don't have anyone even close to win equity wise. I don't have anyone that DFS or win equity wise that's close to Harman for me.
Right. I mean, the only guy that I would make an argument just because I bet him at 125 to 1 is like, I think Keith Mitchell's fucking live this week, but like Keith Mitchell, Brian Harman, who has a better chance to win the tournament. Like there's a
I
reason
like Keith Mitchell
why
a ton
Harman's
DFS wise. I just don't I just can't picture him fully winning this thing. Don't get me wrong. 150 to 1 or whatever you got. I love that bet. I just struggle to see him getting all the way to the winner's circle.
And the key point with Harman too is, listen, Harman's not sneaking up on anyone. I think a lot of people like Harman. I don't see a universe where he gets higher than somebody like Hoge. I think the fact that Harman is in between Siwoo and Hoge is just going to naturally, no matter how much we talk about him, no matter how much, because I've heard him get talked about from a lot of people this week. I just don't see Harman getting like I have him at 11. Does it shock me if he gets to 14?
They always
I mean, I think he's a perfect fit for this golf course. I mean, what more are you looking for? How did he win the Open Championship, right? Like I know one golf course is in England and one golf course is in Florida, but those golf courses are asking you to do the exact same thing. Like the reason why Harman was able to win the Open Championship is because he kept it out of landmines. Like there were tons of pop bunkers on every single hole. And Harman was the only guy that was able to meticulously pick that golf course apart. So I love him this week. He's played well at the Players in the past. I has a perfect spot for him at 7.9. And then I guess the big question is like Hoge, man. Hoge, I've got at 17%. For 7.8, that's a lot. Like we're talking now double the ownership of pretty much every single guy in his range. Flip side to that is probably make a case he's the second best iron player in the world right now on a golf course that may emphasize overall approach play more so than any other golf course on the PGA Tour. So I'm out, but I'm not like ready to say like that's bad chalk.
I'm feeling more confident the further we go into this show that all of our takes are going to align. We're going to give the people a boring show because one thing I've always said is these cheaper guys that get high, like he's the one that's going to be 25%. He might be the second highest owned guy on the whole slate. So many people are starting Scottie, Hoge, maybe Harman too in that mix, like where guys like that, not Harman necessarily, but all that range right there with Scottie. Hoge is going to be steamed so hard, and he's played great. He's made 5 straight cuts here, all pretty decent, actually 72nd and 19, so maybe he missed the cut there. But it says 72nd, so I don't think he did. And there's variance around this place. I'm not playing Tom Hoge at 25% owned. I know he's a good bet. I like him actually as a better bet than DFS.
Yeah, me too. I bet him 100 to 1 on Sunday. Yeah.
I like that. I just think he's too high owned. And again, I know I keep saying it, but I'm not an ownership guy. I don't care that much. But if Tom Hoge's 25% and Keegan Bradley's 7%, I mean, there's no way Tom Hoge's a 3-time better play than Keegan Bradley. Like, it's just a fact. Like, there's no other side to that argument. Even if Hoge's playing better, his irons, like you said, are as good as anyone's right now. He's got 4 or 5 straight good finishes. Everyone loves Hoge, but why do they love Hoge? Because of how he's playing. I think I can just fade off it and beat it, and I'm fine with that. And I know those guys we talked about are a little bit more expensive, but I like all those guys we talked about way more than I like Hoge at lower ownership. So I think I'm going to full fade Hoge. I don't know if you're full fading, but I think I'm going to full fade.
Yeah, I'm full fade. I bet him. I wrote up in the article, like I've got him in a matchup against somebody. I think I played him in a matchup against Chris Kirk, and I got the 100 to 1 bet in on Sunday night because I just thought that was a wild number. But I agree with you. I mean, there are a couple people saying like
7 getting ownership, right?
Yeah, I mean actually, if you go lower down, I'll give you the guys that I have currently because I actually just ran it again before the show, and you can tell me if you have any disagreements. I'll give you all the guys above 10%, double digits in the 7 because there's not many of them. Harman I have at 11. Hoge I have at 17. Adam Scott I have at 11. Keith Mitchell I have at 14. which I don't love. That's a lot higher than I thought. EVR, I have at 11. That's it. So those are
I
the
agree with
4
all of them
guy.
except Hoagie. I think Hoagie comes in
Hoagie's
25
higher.
or yeah.
You think Hoagie's higher?
I mean, I
Yeah,
think he comes in at the bare minimum low 20s, but I think it could be like 25. He just fits every build is the problem. The odds guys are going to like him. The form guys are going to like him. The price guys are going to like him. He checks boxes for every single person, which
yeah.
means everyone's going to play him.
I think
Like, what's the negative to Hoagie? Like, why would someone not play Hoagie?
owner the argument that you just laid out is like people watching this show and being like, yeah, you make a good point. There's no universe where Tom fucking Hoagie is 3 times more likely to outperform Keegan.
And
But I
all
mean,
these
like,
guys, anyways, too. Like even Adam Scott posted. I mean, these guys lower. Yeah, Keith Mitchell, for example. Keith Mitchell's going to be half the ownership, maybe. I mean, somewhere in that half range of what Hoagie is. Keith Mitchell's a way better play than Hoagie to me at half ownership.
I agree. I think with chalk, like you got to ask yourself, I feel way more comfortable with high price chalk personally. Okay. I know some people disagree with that, but to me, that's a rule I live by is chalk that I'm way more comfortable eating is high price chalk. For somebody to be low price chalk, and there, don't get me wrong, there's some guys in the 6s that are getting some love that are way higher than their peers that I'm all in on. But at the end of the day, like you got to ask yourself if you wake up on Thursday morning and you played a 25% Tom Hoagie, like how's that going to feel, man? It's just
It's
like,
not going to feel good.
like how's that going to feel when he hits the first water ball? You got to remember it's this golf course. We've been doing this for years. You've been doing this longer than I have. I've been watching golf for years. Like every single year at the Players, there's going to be a guy that everybody agrees on is like fucking nuts and has no chance of missing the cut. And you're going to wake up on Thursday
He's going to
morning.
miss the cut.
It's going to be like, oh, what the fuck happened to this guy? Right. Okay. And so if you're going to go all in on a guy, if XYZ is going to be in 35% of your lineups, 45% of your lineups, and that's what it would need to be for Hoagie, like we were saying, to get some significant leverage in the field. There are guys that I would rather hitch my wagon to for Hoagie. So I'm with you there. We got a Cole question in the chat from my guy Joey, big Discord guy. Any Cole love for you? He was like just missed the pool for me. Like no strong opinion, just didn't make it.
I agree. It's going to depend on how many guys I have in my player pool. I'm currently going through it. I'm going to run my numbers after we get off this. He's right on the edge for me. Right now, I think he's going to be out. But if I'm down to less guys than I want, like I want to be somewhere around 30 guys this week. If I'm at like 24 or something and I need to add someone, I'll add him. So the simple way is I think I'm neutral on him too. If I get him, I'm fine with it. I'm also fine with fading him. I don't love his course fit. I'll say that.
Yeah, I worry about him off the tee as well. He's just like pretty inaccurate driver, and I think you could find yourself in a lot of trouble here. I mean, the only other guys I'd throw out in the 7s before we talk 6s, Noren, Griot, Hadwin. Like those are my guys. 7-point Mitchell, we already talked about. I bet Mitchell, but Hadwin, Griot, Noren, those are my guys I'm rolling with this week, particularly Noren. Like I'm a massive Noren fan at this golf course.
Yeah, I mean, Noren's one of those guys that's creative too. The only thing that stares at me is I hate when I look at the course history, you just see all these MCs like lined up for him, but you just never know the full history. Like he's got 2 good finishes and 3 missed cuts the last 5 years. I do agree with you though that his creativity, his odds to win, which the odds guys, I mean, you look at everyone in this range, his odds are as good as anyone's. I think I tend to agree with you. And another good part about him, he's going to be crazy low owned. I mean, he's going to be another guy that's 5, 6, 7% owned tops. And
Yeah.
I just think he's a good play. And I love Hadwin too. Hadwin is borderline core play for me. He's got a couple good finishes in a row. His ball striking's dialed in. I know he finished 52nd last week, but he was 4th a few events before that. I just think Hadwin checks all the boxes for me. And I like some of these guys actually that stunk last week. Some of the flop laggy guys. Hadwin was a great play last week. He was one of the pivots off of Minwoo that he was fine too. He was kind of in that similar
Did the same
range.
thing. Yeah, did the same
He
thing.
wasn't great, but I mean, seeing 52nd last week, people liked him. This week, no one's going to play him. I'm totally in with you on Hadwin. The other guy you didn't bring up that I like a little is Adam Scott. I just think he's solid. Again, ball striker, 80-1, single digit owned. And he's another guy that stunk last week. Like, he was terrible last week. Another guy that was a really underpriced play last week that just stunk. I want to play some of those guys that stunk last week that I think have good flop lag ability.
The other thing about Griot, just quickly before we move on, like, you look at Griot's odds in a matchup versus EVR, that opened Griot minus 130 and got bet up to minus 155. So, like, again, none of this stuff should be gospel. It's all part of the puzzle. Like, there are a lot of things to look at. But like, Griot at half the ownership of EVR, yet minus 155 favorite at some of the sharpest books in Vegas.
I not to interrupt, but I think you bring up a great point at how people can mix betting with DFS, because that to me says Griot is a way better DFS play than EVR. But it also says, I mean, I would love to bet EVR at plus 130 or something versus. I mean, there's no way that Griot should be that big of a favorite versus EVR. To me, it's like a coin flip. So whoever's lower owned, I'm going to play DFS, and whoever I can get plus 130 on
in the matchup
in the markets. Like, it just gives you a nice natural hedge.
Okay. Anyone? All right. Should we do some sixes? I mean,
what about your boy Rick? Old Rick at 2% owned, 3% owned with no form right now.
I don't think I can do it, man. It's crazy. You know, I caught it on the screen as I was looking at the EVR Griot matchup. He's a coin flip with Billy Ho. And like, I fucking love Billy Ho this week.
I actually like Billy over him too.
Yeah. I mean, I fucking love Billy Ho this week, but like, well, Billy Ho's 6.6, Fowler 7.3. So if you're playing the game, that would tell you, okay, roll with Billy Hull, and Billy Hull's not gonna be crazy owned anyway. But no, I'm not doing Ricky. I'm not doing Ricky. I'd rather do like, I'd probably rather do Davis than Cam Davis or even Hogegaard than Ricky. But I mean, they're like the guys in the high sixes, like Nick Taylor, Denny, Gim is going to be super popular, like all the way down to Horschel, Eckroat. Like I actually like this high 6K range a lot.
Yeah, me too. A lot of these guys check out, and I'll even say Cam Davis because I just noticed him at 7K too. He finished 6th last year, 18th last week. For whatever reason, I always like Cam Davis just because when he gets hot, he can run it all the way up for you. He could literally finish 8th or 6th or 5th. I doubt he wins it, but I think he's a great DFS play. Justin Rose hasn't been great, but I think he profiles decent too. And the nice part about some of these cheaper guys, they're just not going to be owned outside of Gim. I mean, a lot of these other guys are going to be 3-5% owned. And again, not to keep saying the same point over, but I can play 10% Justin Rose and be 3 times the field. And I like how he shapes up here. I know he doesn't have form, but I would not be stunned at all if he's in contention. I mean, he's got 2 top 8s the last 3 times around this place. I don't know. He's a nice low-owned play for me, but I agree with you on the top of these 6Ks too. I mean, a lot of these guys are good plays. Nick Taylor's been playing great freaking golf, 6,900, great form. He's been decent enough around here too. I mean, no top 10s lately, but he's been solid enough. Denny McCarthy can always get hot. He's 3% owned. Doug Gim's actually chalk I'm going to eat too. I don't usually like it, but I mean, he was really good. He's in great form. 3 top 16s his last 3 events. He finished 6th here 2 years ago. And the year before that, again, I only know these things because I was in the Millie that year. He could have won 3 years ago when I won. He finished 29th. So it's a little misleading, but he like blew up even worse than Spieth on Sunday. I think he shot like 80 or something. Like totally blew up. So he finished 29th shooting freaking 80 or whatever he shot on Sunday, which means he likes this place. He had 1 bad round, which happens. It's variance. He a water ball expert. He is, but I mean, Doug Gim at 6,800 and 100-1 to win the thing. You have to like it. And I mean, these other guys too, like you said, Billy Ho, love him. He's in great form right now. He stunk the last year or two, but he's found it. He's found a little something, and I think we can go to that. Kitayama has always been a big game hunter. He stunk last week. He let me down last week. I was heavy on him. I like him, though. I like this range. I'm with you. I like all those guys.
Okay, so yeah, Gim's a tough one for me. Because I kind of got to a point, let's just say the two highest owned players in this range by what I'm seeing is Rye and Gim. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got Gim around 12%, Rye around 10%, right? And I'm going to make a decision on one of the two. I think I'm leaning towards Rye. Interestingly enough, Rye's minus 120 over Gim in a matchup right now and 6.3 compared to 6.8. Obviously, there are a ton of avenues to play both of them. I just got in a position with my pool where it's like, I'm just going to pick one of these guys. And I've got Gim, I think, in a top 20 or something like that. So I think Rye and Gim are the only guys that I would actually maybe Eckroat and Horschel get a little bit up there, maybe Nick Taylor, but like Rye and Gim are going to be the most popular ones. I'm telling you right now, Tony, like this Nick Taylor, Billy Horschel, Eckroat, Novak, Rye group of guys, like I think all those guys make the most sense. I like all of those guys the most. Statistically, those are the guys that are popping in everyone's. Rye's like 4 in my entire model this week because he's just the most accurate driver on tour. One of those guys is going to fucking bomb because they're not good golfers, right? So it's just like you got to pick your spots with them. Like I would not recommend having your entire 6K range be the Gim, Rye, Novak, Todd, Horschel, or not Todd, Eckroat, Horschel, Pavone. Like all of those guys there's more consensus in the 6K range than I've seen in quite some time, where there's like 6 guys in the 6K range that are over 7, 8, 9, 10%. And I'm playing, I think 3 or 4 of them, but I think you got to pick your spots. So it will be Rye, Horschel, Eckroat, Nick Taylor, Denny McCarthy. I love this week. Out on Pavone, and then Glover. I love too. Like I think Glover is such an accurate driver of the ball. He's such a great overall approach player. He played well last week at the API. So those are my guys in the 6s. Anyone you want to add?
I mean, I've agreed with you a ton. This is the first range where I don't have a lot of this. Like, I think I'm going to fade Rye. I have to play.
Fair enough. Like, I feel like Rye's the guy where, there's that guy every Wednesday afternoon where you're like, I'm such a fucking idiot. What the fuck am I doing playing like 10% Aaron Rye at 6.4? Like it's Aaron fucking Rye. Like I don't care if he's
going to be higher
model.
too. Like everyone,
you think so?
About this guy. It's just you know how it is watching these shows. Like everyone's on a guy. They just have to get steamed a little bit. They just have to. But the flip side to that is he is 6,400. Does anyone this cheap ever really get steamed? I mean, besides Min Woo, obviously, but he was mispriced though. Like Aaron Rye's not that mispriced.
What do you think his ceiling is in like the Millie Maker?
Or so like this is where I think I want to. This is why I want to go more mid tier, because if I finish with one of these guys in the 6Ks, I'm okay with that. I don't really want to go dumpster diving for 2 because honestly, Aaron Rye, I'd be stunned if he was in contention on Sunday. Like I think he could finish 17th or something. Like I think that's realistic.
Yeah.
I don't see him like going down the stretch with the ability to win this thing. He's got freaking head covers on his irons. He's gonna shit. I mean,
he finished 19th last year with a hole in one, so that kind of feels like his ceiling.
He's gonna miss the cut. Go with Gim. We've agreed on everything. Go with me on Gim. Let's go with the Gim reefer over him.
Good. I like that.
I love your Billy Ho. Like I'm fully in with Billy Ho. I don't love this range though. Honestly, the more I look at it, I like Putin. I'm okay, but then you look at it. Can I really play a guy that's missed the cut 4 straight years here? I don't think I can. I mean,
yeah, I'm not playing
4 straight missed cuts has to be in your head at least a little bit. Like I just can't do it. He said I can't roster a guy with 2 gloves and iron covers. That's what I've always said, but sometimes he does burn me because he is a good golfer, obviously consistent off the tee. But yeah, I'm going Gim over him. I agree with the rest of your takes in this range, though. Eckroat obviously has been playing good. Brendan Todd. I mean, he's been playing solid enough. Again, these guys are cheap. I'm okay with a lot of these guys. I just don't want to jam this range. Like if you play Scottie and JT or something and you got to live in this range, I don't think you have enough upside from your whole team. I think you need more upside from the bottom.
No love for Sig, Andy. No, he's fine. I've gotten a couple Sig questions today, so maybe I'll have to look back into Sig and see if I'm missing something. But
Ooh,
yeah, no love for.
Grayson Sig?
Yeah, I don't even know where's
is
he
he?
priced. Is he in the high fives?
He's 5,500.
Yeah, I mean, I
He's
guess
an
he's cheap
example, though.
enough.
Like, I'm just going to use him because we're going into the 5Ks anyways. I like to visualize who can win me $1 million on Sunday. Am I really going to think Grayson Sig's going to come through on a Sunday
No.
at the Players for me? Hell no.
Well, what was your construction for the Millie Maker lineup? Who was your lowest guy?
Well, Harmon at 6,900 and Connors
Yeah.
were the two, but those guys are like not the same as freaking Grayson Sig, like not even remotely the same. And it just, I don't know. I definitely don't like these. I can't play Grayson Sig or any of these guys down here. Like, who's another guy that's going to get a little bit of ownership down here? Anybody?
No, I
Nobody.
think a lot of builds are like congregating in the sixes. Like I think a lot of people are finishing in the sixes. Like Rye, Eckroat, Horschel, Pavone, Gim, and Taylor. That is a lot more popularity for guys in the sixes than you're used to seeing. And I don't have a guy in the fives. The highest guy in the fives that I have is Carson Young at 4.5%. So, I mean, you choose your own adventure down here.
I honestly don't know if I'm going to play anyone in the fives. I'm trying
I
to
have
like
no one. I have no one. Yeah,
I guess you could talk me into Bobby Mack.
sure.
I
Yeah.
could see him like doing something. I'm trying to like make a case for anyone down here because I don't see a ton. But Bobby Mack, we've at least seen him compete in big events. Like he almost beat, who was it, Bubba or Rory at one of those big Euro. I know it was a Euro event, but it was a big Euro event, like one of the Masters events or something. And I think he either won or finished second. Like he's a big game hunter. I could play him, but I mean, I'm with you in this. CT Pan's been playing pretty good too. I guess I could include him in the general player pool, Carson Young, but I'm with you overall. I don't love this range at all.
Any Stricker thoughts before we get out of here? A lot of Stricker talk in the Discord. I'm telling you right now, like I was just looking Dunlap plus 120 over Stricker. Like,
Yeah.
give me Dunlap, baby. Yeah, give me the underdog in that all day.
Absolutely. And I'm a big Stricker fan, but let's be honest, like the dude's old. There's again, like, why are we playing a guy that has no chance to compete and win this thing? Why? We're trying to win $1 million this week. We're trying to win our single entries if we do that. Why are we playing Steve freaking Stricker? He's not going to be on the winner. No chance. No chance.
I don't think there's anyone. I could envision like, gosh, am I shocked if Sam Ryder finishes like 7th? Probably not. It's probably not, but like I don't have anyone down here. I agree with you. I think that like a lot of even the lineups that I play with Scottie, my last guy in is like Billy, right?
You
Like
said
I
the
just
Scottie build, though. You gave the best advice of the show to people, and I hope they were listening because it was great advice. If you play Scottie, go down to Connors and Harmon and Siwoo and live in
and then
there, play
Mitchell
1
and
6 or
Horschel
5K guy,
yeah.
and then fill it in.
Yeah.
That's the Scottie build.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else from the chat you guys want us to touch on before we get out of here? Who's your winner? JT?
That's too easy. That's too easy. But who's like my man? Who would be like a good bet right
Well,
now?
do that. Let's do this because I do this when me and Kobe do shows on Wednesday. We do winner, like long shot has to be below 7.5 or like at least 50, 60, 70 to 1 in the betting market. Yep. And then one guy above 9K that has zero fucking chance. Like zero fucking chance.
So if I pick, I'm actually going to go with Sam Burns as my winner. 40 to 1, 9,200. I like Burns. My 9K guy that I think has no 9K or above that has no chance. Man, who's a good one that would? I'm gonna go all the way up until I think Rory has no chance this week. I don't like
Love it.
Rory at all.
We love the
I'm gonna go with
haters.
an interesting one, Rory up there. What else I need? I need a bomber.
Yeah.
Give me who's a good bomber? I like
Anyone like 50 to 1 higher, 7.5 or below that you think can win?
I really like this play, and it goes with last week and all the arguments. I think Minwoo Lee could win this thing. I really like
Yeah.
Minwoo. I think he's 50 or 60 to 1, so maybe it's teetering on that long shot edge. But I don't think a bomber's winning this week. I think it's a good guy this week. So Minwoo will be my bomber at 50 to 1.
Yeah, I'll go JT. JT was my
I
initial
love it.
lean. Like that was the first bet I made when I broke this course down on Sunday. 25 to 1. I think you could still get him at 22. He's played this golf course so well over the years. Like this is his playground. You look at his quotes. He's talked about how this golf course brings out the best in him. It sparks his creativity. It's also been fucking 2 years, dude. Like I don't understand. Like it's put up or shut up time, buddy. JT hasn't won a golf tournament in 2 fucking years.
When's his
The
last
last
win? The PGA?
dude, he's won twice in 3 years, and it was the Players and the PGA.
Was
That's
his last
it.
win that when the dude choked on him? The
Yeah,
Mito?
Mito, Southern Hills. That's it. So at least you can count on him in the big events. But
I
so
love
I'm
the
going
JT call.
JT. I'm gonna say Hovland has no chance. I just don't. I bet him last
Hovland's a
week.
better no chance than Rory for the record. That's
Yeah,
a sharp one.
I just I bet him last week. It was a mistake because I watched him closely and I was like, I think he's ready. And if he's ready, then API is an amazing golf course for his skill set. And I think there's a chance that he plays well this week. He's not sharp enough to win. I would be shocked if he wins. I think that we could see some improvement from him. The API, he's talking about like, I don't like when golfers, this happened with Scottie for a little bit before it got better, but like Hovland's getting questions about his short game from everyone now. And it's like every time you're standing in front of a chip, like you're thinking about what people are going to say now if you make a bad chip. Like all he's getting asked about now is his chipping. The ball striking wasn't even that good for him at API either. So I'm out on Hovland. And then I'm going to stick with, I think Connors can win. Like we've had a lot of Webb Simpson, Siwoo Kim's won this at 500 to 1 in the past. Like you catch a couple breaks. Like let's not forget, like Honorbon Lahiri was like a millimeter from winning the fucking Players the Cam Smith year. Okay. Cam Smith got like the craziest bounce to stay out of the water. It's a golf course where weird things can happen. You see guys like Hoge and Keegan and Connors, these accurate types, great iron players up there every year. I think Connors is live at 80 to 1. This is a Connors type golf course. So those are my guys. Anyone else in the comments who wants to hit on or shall we
I
get
know
out of
one
here,
thing,
my
you're
friend?
spoiling me on this first show we did together. I've done a lot of golf shows. We agreed on a lot of stuff I don't know if that's a good sign for us this week or a bad sign, but we agree. All the guys you like, I'm super high on. So I feel good about that.
We'll see. It's the fucking Players. It's just the beginning. We didn't have Wiley in here stirring the pot. Like I feel like I don't even know. I haven't even looked at the course and everything. So
They're all slowly
oh
going up
wait,
now.
last thing. Let's pump the contest real quick.
Yeah. Talk it up or I can.
Okay, so we got it's the free roll, right? For you talking, you're gonna do better at this than I am.
Yeah. So we always did this for football too, and I never understood it because we would give free money away every week. And the contest doesn't fill. You don't have to be a Run Pure member even. You can be someone I'm sure there's plenty of people watching this show that aren't Run Pure members just watching for free. All you got to do literally is put our logo up there. I mean, whatever. If you don't like Run Pure or whatever, change the logo next week or something. I shouldn't say that, but I'm always honest. Put our logo up, enter the contest. It's $1,000 free, 500 cash and 500 in tickets. No strings to anything. Enter the contest, put the logo up. $250 for first, $150 for second, $100 for third. DK kicked a ton of tickets through 50th place, up to $1,000 for free. All you got to do, free. No reason not to enter it whatsoever. And right now we are at, let me see what we're at.
I'm in there.
We're only at 224 people right now. So
That's
I know
nuts.
we got
Free.
a lot more members than that at Run Pure. And there's a lot more. I mean, there's more people watching this show right now.
There's
than we have in the
224
contest.
people yelling at each other in the Discord
There's
right
more
now.
people yelling in the Discord that are in the free. It's free money. I don't care how much money I have. It's still, I'm entering it. If I get that money, I'm keeping that one. I'm keeping that 250 people. I'm getting in there. Like, get in there. It's free money and bragging rights. You can come. What we should do is next Wednesday, whoever wins can come on the show for a minute or something.
Yeah,
too,
we'll
like
do
that.
it.
But
We'll
enter
do
the
it.
freaking contest, people. It's free money.
All right, buddy. Got anything else before we get out of here? Happy Players Week, my friend. You got anything fun planned this weekend?
Sit and watch some golf and get ready for March Madness next week. Are you a big March Madness guy or no?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm pumped for it. I don't play college basketball DFS, but like I'm a big bettor for March Madness.
There's no
I don't
better
know,
4
off the
days
hop,
than that.
we've got college basketball content, right? For DFS, right?
Oh, yeah. And Stevie
so I'll have to
Boynton,
check that out.
again, people that know me know I don't just say stuff just to mean it. Like Andy's crushing this golf stuff. No one likes college basketball, and I make fun of him for this. That's how you know it's true. No one likes it more than Stevie Boynton. Like, this dude jerks to college basketball in November and October and December, and when it gets to March, he needs new undies like 4 times a day because this dude loves his freaking college basketball. And we're going to crush it. He's in Vegas this week with the conference tournaments. Next week, big tournaments. I mean, check us out at Run Pure for sure because we got all the sports. We got everything you need. No reason not to. We got players this weekend. Showdown content all weekend from Snyder, whoever else does it. March Madness following it up. NASCAR, MMA, friggin' everything. Check us out for sure. And I love going to the show. I want to say that too. I love your content. I love that we can come on here on Wednesdays, and we're going to do it way more now that golf is in the routine here. We're kind of getting past NBA a little bit as the season winds down. It's golf time. It's freaking golf time. We got majors coming. Augusta's in what?
I'll be there, by the way. I'll be there for all the
go.
practice. I'll be at Augusta for all the practice rounds, posting everything I'm seeing in the Discord. Yeah, you know, I'll stand there and try and listen to conversations and then post on Twitter and give everybody the wrong impression about guys. But yeah, it'll be fun going with my dad for the first time. So it's going to be,
that's going to be a great experience for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, it was awesome. I loved it. You got anything else or you want me to get us out of here?
Let's get out of here, my friend.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone. It was fun. Let's get some winners
Peace.
this weekend.